Welcome to MindShift Power Podcast, the only international podcast focused on teens, connecting young voices and perspectives from around the world. Get ready to explore the issues that matter to today's youth and shape tomorrow's world. I'm your host, Fatima Bey, the Mindshifter. And welcome, everyone. Today we have with us Orlana Darkins Drewery. She is out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is in the U.S. She is the CEO of Shyne Network and the creator of the Shyne Awards. How are you doing today, Orlana?
I am doing great. Thank you for the opportunity to be with you today.
I'm really excited to talk to you about what you're doing because I believe in it strongly, and I think that everyone else will love you too.
Thank you.
So tell us, what are the Shyne Awards?
So the Shyne Awards is a national premier award ceremony that celebrates the positive accomplishments of young people anywhere in the world between the ages of 13 and 24.
Okay. And who do these awards go to?
So again, the only requirement is that they're between the ages of 13 and 24, and young people can nominate themselves or other people can nominate them, and they can select from 9 categories. And oftentimes, as you know, our young people are multi-talented. So a lot of times young people are nominated in one or more categories.
Oh, okay. Can you tell us what a few of those categories are?
Yes. So hopefully I get them all, but we have the arts. And when I say the arts, that could be visual arts, performing arts. So the arts, academics, community service, service and ministry, entrepreneurship, young adult group participation, leadership, STEM, and overcoming obstacles.
Oh, overcoming obstacles.
Overcoming obstacles is normally a tearjerker.
Yeah, I would imagine so. That was probably the one I'd be the most interested in. Because I think a lot of people deserve awards for overcoming obstacles that don't get recognized.
And it's amazing too, whenever, and that category sometimes is not fulfilled. And we also don't want to seem like you're competing for overcoming obstacles. But when we do get someone, a young person that shares their story, it is amazing how at a young age, some of these obstacles, whether they're physical, environmental, but some of these obstacles that young people are facing at such an early age and are overcoming and being successful at the age that they are. So that what makes it so, I said it's a tearjerker, but it's also so inspirational and motivational for not only the young people, but the adults in the audience.
Absolutely. Sometimes we as adults don't really recognize or realize, I would say, just how much our youth today go through that we did not go through at such an early age. There's so much a more abundance of certain things that, we're like, oh, by 13, I didn't have to deal with that. Some of these kids are dealing with what you didn't deal with until 16. At 10 years old. They're not. And
that's why I said a lot of times it is such an eye opener for adults because it's like, man, like I'm 40 and you've already experienced something that maybe a 40 or 50-year-old should experience in your 18.
Right.
So let me be, and it's also, it's an award show, but there's just these moments of grounding where you're like, you know what, let me stop complaining.
Yes. For real. It must be so exciting. It's just exhilarating to hand those awards.
It is.
To the youth.
It is. We were only supposed to do it. My husband and I, we were only supposed to do it one time. We just wanted to prove a point. And really our point was just to be proven in our city, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, that young people are doing great things and they should be recognized and not overlooked. And we were going to move on. And just the impact and the testimonies we received just from the one show from adults and the students, we thought, okay, we'll do it just one more time. And now this is our 16th year. So here we are. But yes, it is so rewarding. And, it's that reward that keeps me, it's hard. Every year you're trying to raise money, you're trying to get all the things. But once you hear the impact, it makes it rewarding. We're also glad too that they nicknamed it. A lot of times when you have your own business, you come up with your own motto, but we're excited that they gave us one and they consider the Shyne Awards the Grammys for teens. So we're like, we'll take that.
I love that. That is absolutely beautiful. And you know what? I think there needs to be more things like that. And I'm going to say that because in this conversation, I think it needs to be mentioned. Far too often, we have a couple different takes on awards when it comes to our youth. You have people like you that are awarding those who don't normally get recognized that should be. And then you have those who are like, oh, we're going to give you an award for sneezing on a Tuesday. And it ruins the real rewards.
Yes.
Because now we're rewarding kids for just existing. But when they get out there in the real world, they ain't getting rewarded for existing.
Exactly.
And we're not preparing them for the real world, but you are recognizing them. And I know that you have physically seen the confidence build in some of the youth. Am I
First
right?
of all, so one thing I want to say is that we spell Shyne with a Y. So it's Shyne.
Right.
And yes, you're completely right. So yes, we do award some young people who are used to being awarded. I mean, they're excellent. We can't deny them that. But our focus is to find that underdog, like that person who's working, but they're not being recognized. So we always, when we're
Right.
promoting the Shine Awards, we're like, we're not looking for the superstar. Like, please nominate them, but we want that person that you see that made a turnaround in their academics, that you see them serving at their church, that you see them doing things in their community. And last year, we started intentionally going back to some past honorees and just asking them, to share your experience with the Shine Awards. And every single one of them said it was their first award and it gave them the confidence to try new things. And just one testimony comes to mind. One young adult, she was our academic honoree. She said at the time, now she said in high school, she was making straight A's, but in her mind, she wasn't worthy enough for college. And she ended up being nominated. She won the academic award and now she's getting her PhD. But she told us if it wasn't for that experience of being seen and seeing that there's other people like her, she would have never even applied to college or now working to get her PhD.
Wow. So I'm hearing the results of what you're doing, and confidence building our youth is the most powerful thing that we can do as adults. And that's what people don't realize. It's not giving them stuff and giving them knowledge. They need that too. But giving them confidence, that surpasses everything, because a person who doesn't believe in themselves will not even try, like you just said.
Exactly.
They won't even try. And if they won't even try, they can't get to any kind of success, not because they're incapable, but because they don't believe that they can or that they should. And building confidence in our youth. And I love that you're doing that. I'm so passionate about building confidence in our youth because they desperately need it today more than we did.
You are so right. A lot of times I am asked, what are some workplace tips you can give our teens? And I always say at this point in their lives, they don't need workplace tips. They need confidence.
Thank you. Exactly. The workplace tip is get confidence so when you get to work, you do a good job. And that's the thing.
Like, why are we talking about work? Like, they need confidence to, first of all, make it through school.
Yeah,
then
exactly.
They can feel confident to learn to equip themselves with the tools, the strategies. Like, it needs to build. We're so focused on this workplace mentality that we're skipping some foundational things like confidence, kindness, self-worth. We're skipping stuff. And you're like, what are some workplace tips? No, I have some, but let's talk about confidence and self-worth and mindset. Let's talk about that.
Right. Because all of that will make the workplace tips useful. It's no use. It's like kind of like giving instruction on how to build a rocket to a cat. They're not going to do what? And the thing is it's like that when we don't have confidence, we show up as incompetent. Although that may not actually be true, because some of the most intelligent people, when they don't have confidence, I've seen it. I've been there myself. And the building of the confidence is so important. So for adults who are out there listening, who work with youth, because many of you listen to this, hear that. If you work with youth, just know when you beat them down, you are not gonna get the best out of them. You're going to get the minimal at most. And when you build the confidence, they will show up in every area, including work. But not just
and
work.
I'm glad you said that, because even with the teens that we work with, again, they're teens. So a lot of times, I mean, we forget they've only been on earth for like 16 years or 18 years. Like, it's not a long time. But we expect them to know so much. But when we work with teens at the Shine Awards Foundation, so if there's something they do wrong, before we tell them that part, we'll tell them something they did right. So we're glad that you gave her the correct change back. that was great. But next time out, when you give her the change, say, thank you. We look forward to seeing you again. Like, like correct them within the compliment, not like you didn't even say thank you,
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's not just with teens. When people come at us like that, it's difficult to really kind of listen to what they
teens
have
and
to
adults.
Say. And even if everything they're saying is
right, exactly. Tone.
Even if everything they're saying,
again,
it might be
foundational things first. So we'll add tone to the list.
Yes.
How you approach somebody, it really does matter.
And sometimes we got to check ourselves, because I know I've been guilty of approaching people with a little bit too much extra energy. And and in times past, and not even realize that I was doing it. Because I have a very strong personality, so sometimes that can come across as intimidating in certain situations, and I've had to go, oh, wait a minute. And this is why it's so important that we listen to feedback. So what kind of feedback have you gotten from some of the youth in your Shyne network?
Yes. So again, as I mentioned, last year we started intentionally going back and asking them the question, what did you think about the Shyne Awards? How has it impacted you? One young lady, she is an honoree, she won in Clarksburg, Maryland. She says that she's very shy. So she said she was super nervous that when she found out she won a Shyne Awards. But she told us, because when you win a Shyne Awards, you have to give a 30-second acceptance speech. So she said she was just like a hot mess, like a wreck, like, oh my God.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's
but
nerve-wracking.
She said the process of writing down her remarks, walking to the podium and reading her remarks, she said that gave her practice. It gave her confidence. She said it was amazing how when I did it, she was like, it was 30 seconds. She's like, but it was amazing how when I did it and the sense of accomplishment I had in reading a 30-second speech, she's like, I feel like I don't have to be shy anymore. Like I can just speak. And we're like, oh my gosh. And so for us, it's just a part of the show. I never thought how certain features in the show can have a specific impact on young people.
And that's what I was looking for. I know that you have had an impact. The Shyne Awards, the Shyne Network has had an impact on the youth that you have there. I love that specific example, because we tend to think of things sometimes what I call too small. We think things are nothing when they're actually a big deal. And especially if you've never been in front of a crowd before, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. No matter what your age is, that's a big deal. And I remember the first time I was on TV, I had they did a feature story on me because of my business sewing wedding gowns. And it was my first time being featured on TV. Like, it was a feature. And I'm like, oh my God. So I tried not to be nervous. And it didn't show, but I actually kind of was, because it was my first time. It was such a big deal. And I just remember how I felt. And I can only imagine how, and I've been in front of crowds before, but it was just not that big of a presentation. It is a very big deal. So I love that you are giving them the confidence. And again, I want for the adults out there listening to understand that is the most important thing you can do. Not that you should stop doing the other things you're doing, teaching and correcting, that needs to be done too. But building of the confidence needs to be coupled with it. Because if you're not building confidence, you're really just roboting them. And they're not robots. And that always works against them. And whatever works against them works against you, because they're going to be taking care of you when you're old. And and they don't know how to do nothing because they never had enough confidence to try.
Exactly. I just had a conversation yesterday, as a matter of fact, and we were talking about how parents, aunties, teachers, uncles, but we were specifically talking about parents, how parents get into, it's their baby. They want to fix it. They want to prevent things from happening to them. They don't want them to hurt. So they'll jump in to solve it and not provide the opportunity for it to be a learning experience. And then when I talk to teens, I tell them too that they also have the power to control their own narrative. So it's not always just on the parents and the aunties and the guardians. You have the power to control your narrative. So for example, instead of saying, can I hang out with my friends tonight? It should be, when I finish my homework, can I hang out with my friends for 2 hours at the mall? Because that demonstrates responsibility. You gave information who your friends are. You gave a time limit. And then this is the crucial part. I tell them you have to do what you say. So don't come back
Yeah.
2.5 hours later. You said 2 hours. But this shows the parent, guardian, teacher, like, oh, they're responsible. They can make decisions. They can be trusted. So it's a two-way street. I think sometimes we put a lot of pressure on ourselves as guardians, as teachers, and as mentors. And I think we should kind of shed the light on the young person too. Like you play a role in this. You play a role in how all this works out at the house or at school. So you control, you're right. You control your narrative too.
And I love that you're teaching them that. And that's so important. And, you know, if we approach youth in a way that's respectful to them, they will usually listen to us. No matter what you look like, no matter what your race is, no matter how old you are, you know, those things can play into how they receive you too. But they fall into the background with how you treat them. You know, when you treat them with respect, they're more inclined to hear what you have to say. Because I hear adults sometimes they have great things to say and they're totally right about what they're saying, but they're totally wrong in their approach. And that's why they get ignored.
I'm sorry. Did I cut you off?
No, go ahead.
Which I just wanted to co-sign what you're saying. And this happened to me. Now, this was last year, but it was this huge youth conference. And I had to pass out these blank name tags. And so I was passing out these blank name tags, and the young man wrote his name too large. Like there wasn't enough space on the name tag. So he asked for another one. So he was like, can I have another one? So I was like, oh, sure. Here you go. And just, took the other one. And he said, wow, thanks for being so nice about it. And I thought, wow, like what reaction is he used to?
Yeah, no, for real. And he probably was very legitimate with that response.
That shocked me. He's like, wow, thanks for being so nice about it. And then one other thing, I mentioned to you off camera, like I love to walk. So I was taking a walk. And I took a moment to sit on a bench. There was 3 young men kind of like about to walk past me. So I just said, hey, how y'all doing? And so 2 of them said, yeah, we're good, whatever. But the one who didn't speak said, thanks for saying hi to us. And that blew me away too, because I also am around adults that say, kids, when they walk in a room with adults, they need to speak. But then as adults, do we speak to kids?
Exactly. No, for real. Exactly.
So that was an eye-opener to me. So I'm like, oh my gosh. He said, thank you for speaking to us.
Let's take a deep dive into what you just said, because I think this really drives home what I was talking about. If a youth is feeling like that, if a person is feeling like I'm not worth saying hello to, I'm not worth addressing, how are they supposed to be confident and go for the job and career that they're supposed to go for? How are they supposed to be confident and go for anything in life when they're not worth even saying hello to? Adults, I want y'all to think about that, because the deeper dive into that is what it does to someone psychologically. I'm not worth it. And when we send that message through our actions, and that's just one of many actions, when we correct them without adding the good stuff, without acknowledging the good, it's not that the correction shouldn't be there. It should. But we, as Orlana was saying, you got to acknowledge the good too, because the message you're constantly sending over and over again is you ain't nothing but little pipsqueak, a little whatever, and get out of my way. And what that says is I'm not worth anything. Well, if we constantly receive that message over and over again, repetition is what teaches us humans. Anything we receive over and over again, we tend to believe. So it's very important, adults who are listening, that we recognize our youth in the ways, in any kind of way that we can, and what's effective for them. So, recognizing someone that is disciplined with their time, who's already disciplined with their time every single day, and it's like not a thought for them, that might not give them an ego boost. But for someone who came from a household where it's always chaos and they don't understand organization because they weren't raised with it, and then they start to be organized, well, that's effort. And that's a big step for them. Recognize that. Say something.
And you figure too, I was a stranger. So imagine the impact if it's someone they know, their teacher, their parent, their aunt, their cousin.
True.
Like I was a stranger and that impacted them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've gotten similar responses from youth when I go to schools and just in other things. And it really bothers me. Not that the youth bothers me, but it bothers me that they're so mistreated that just, to me, what's normal is special, and it shouldn't be. It should just be an everyday thing for them. So going back to the awards. When do they happen?
They are the first Sunday in August every year. So this year, the date is Sunday, August 3rd. We have a glitzy red carpet experience that starts at 5 p.m. and the award ceremony begins at 6 p.m.
Nice. And how can people, do people travel there physically for it from all over the country?
We're so excited.
Oh, wow.
When we first started, that's why it's important to have sometimes your own motivation, because not everyone's going to cheer for you. When we first started, people were like, no one's going to come to Pittsburgh for the Shyne Awards. And my husband and I actually believed that for a really long time. We're like, no one's going to come. But they are showing up and it's awesome. So, we've awarded people from DC, Texas, New Jersey, West Virginia, Ohio, just to name a few, Kentucky. But yes, it's great to see families travel into our city and experience
awesome.
And be celebrated again in front of people that they don't even know. Also during the red carpet, we have media sponsors. So that's another public speaking opportunity that we let them know in advance, because we don't want anyone freaking out on the carpet. But we have radio stations interview them on the red carpet, and there's photographs. But they really, truly are the stars that night. Even before and after the show, we do kind of like a media tour. For those who are available, because they're students, so sometimes they can't get out of school, but there's some media involved, but they are star. And we work to stay in touch with them really throughout their whole life. It's not like you get a Shyne Awards and we disappear. We want you to tell us all about your successes, and
that's awesome.
Do interviews.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's really nice. I call them, I don't think all of them know this, but I call them my Shyne babies.
Well, wait a minute. You get a red carpet treatment? Okay, can I be 15 and get one?
Right. Yeah. If you could transfer yourself to 15. I do have adults trying to walk this red carpet. I'm like, it's for the kids.
but I childish sometimes. Does that count?
No.
No, but I really love that you're doing this, and that it's very clear you guys have put a lot of thought into every detail of it. Do they get a plaque? Do they get a trophy?
They get a very nice heavy glass trophy. They also get a financial stipend. And then they might get something else this year, but it's not confirmed yet. So they might get something else, but definitely they'll get a financial stipend and a nice heavy glass Shyne Award.
I love that. Oh my God, that's so awesome. So how can people nominate a youth, or how can youth nominate themselves?
So the Shyne Award. So nominations for this year are closed. However, we do keep nominations open all year round. So you can still nominate.
Okay.
You will get a reply on next steps. But you just visit our website, which is theshyneawards.org, and we spell Shyne with a Y.
And it'll be in the show notes as well. So in the podcast description, it'll be at the end. It'll be in the middle of it, but there'll be links there so that you all can sign up. So before we go, I want for some of the adults out there who work with youth or parents, and they love what you're doing and listening. And I mean, this is international. So whether they're in Zimbabwe or California, listening to what you're saying, they're inspired and they want to recognize the youth in their town and their city and their village. What advice do you have for them?
Yes, my advice would be start where you are, use what you have, because although I'm talking about a national premier award ceremony, you may not have the resources to do that, and that's okay. But start where you are, use what you have, and find ways to recognize young people. It could be a quarterly recognition where they get a certificate, or maybe there was a school that did a program where if they caught someone doing something good, so maybe they held the door open for a teacher, or they picked up some litter in the hallway, they got some type of award of some sort or some type of recognition. So it doesn't have to be an expensive, glitzy award ceremony. It could be small efforts that really make an impact in a young person's life.
It could be as small as a dinner.
It could be as small as a dinner. Fatima, I'm not sure if I told you this, but I got a phone call from someone that said a teenager just asked, can I have a warm meal and a hug? That was her request.
Wow.
So sometimes you're right. Sometimes it's a dinner.
You'd be surprised. Yeah. And just to come over and we're going to make some stewed chicken and rice and cornbread or whatever. Now I'm getting hungry. And we just want to recognize that you did better this semester. It could be your next door neighbor. Something as simple
and even
as that.
Pizza is still exciting for kids. So even like, hey guys, you know what? You did great today, or I don't know, whatever. We're going to have a pizza party. Pizza is like still king in people and kids' lives.
Yes, we can always find a way. We can always find a way. So what advice do you have out there for the teens who are listening right now?
For the teens, I would say just know you control your own narrative. And the mission of the Shyne Awards Foundation is to change the narrative of young people, because unfortunately, you guys are sometimes just blamed for things that you had nothing to do with. If there's a rise in crime, it's probably teens. If cars are being stolen in a neighborhood, it's probably a group of teens. So just know, though, that you have the power to change your own narrative. Going back to the example I had, when talking to your parents or teachers, let them know, I'm going to finish my assignment and I would like to hang out with friends. I'll be back in 2 hours, and then actually do what you say. So that's what I would say. Control your own narrative, be your authentic self. Don't try to pretend to be someone you're not. And you would be surprised of the impact that not only you will have with yourself, but those who's watching you. Know people are watching you, but know the impact that you will have on yourself and those who are watching you.
And I want to kind of piggyback off that a little bit, especially the part about following through with your words. Teens, if you keep your words, and as simple as that, you just follow through with whatever you say you're going to do, at least make the best effort that you can, because sometimes things happen and you can't, but you at least mean the words you say and you try to follow through, you'd be surprised. You might actually inspire the adults around you. I have seen that happen.
That is so true. I have a 10-year-old nephew. When he tells me, Aunt Lana, I'm going to call you at 10 a.m., I believe him. He's 10 years old and he does exactly what he says he's going to do. Like, as an adult, when he tells me something, I'm like, he's going to do it. So yeah, that also helps the narrative, because you show trust and adults will trust you. Yes. So that's actually a good point.
Well, Orlana, it has been so awesome talking to you, and I thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I hope your audience enjoys it too.
And now for a mind-shifting moment. I want to challenge you today. Have you done anything lately to encourage any youth around you? I'm talking to all of you. No matter how old you are, even if you are a teen, have you taken the time to encourage another teen, to lift up our youth? Adults, grandparents, teachers, counselors, firemen, have you taken the time out to say something positive to any teenager? I want to challenge every single one of you listening to do that, no matter what country or culture you are in. That is something we can all do. It matters. It matters because they are our future, and their confidence is going to make a difference on how this world is run. Encourage a youth today. They matter. Thank you for listening. Be sure to follow or subscribe to MindShift Power Podcast on any of our worldwide platforms, so you too can be a part of the conversation that's changing young lives everywhere. And always remember, there's power in shifting your thinking.